So I just want to have a talk about something that I just watched a video of Tommy talking, and specifically he was saying that it's if migration had only just been of sort of non-Muslims and people from non-Muslim countries, there probably wouldn't be that much of an uprising against it. But the reason why there is such an uprising against it is because a lot of people that have come to this country are Islamic, and a lot of the sort of left wingers are seeing non-Islamic people and Islamic people as being the same thing, and they're not. And I definitely 100% agree with that. I know though when it comes to protesting, it might be more important to focus on the illegal part, because there are a lot of conservative type people in England that are fine with immigration providing it's legal, but they're not fine if it's illegal. Now, technically, I don't actually have much support in the British system or in the British government any longer. You know, I know that I'm Christ. I know that I am God. I know that I've been here since 2013, and every single time I look on the news, they're not talking about me. They're not promoting me. They're not wanting to talk to me in any kind of way. No one's contacted me. No one's done anything. So because of this, I have so much distrust in what I'm reading on the media, because they're saying things that are important, and yet what, Christ is here and you don't think that's important? So I find it hard to trust anything when it comes to what's seeing in the media, because I know that something really important is here, e.g. Christ is here, God is on earth, and she is time traveling, and I've got proof that things that it's been happening since 2013. I met a guy called Martin, and literally every single thing that I would think and do would seem to link to the internet and link to things that people had posted, and songs that had been written beforehand. And you know, it was like magic was happening ever since the day I met him, and the media wasn't reporting on it. Martin wasn't talking to me. I don't know who he was. I don't know what if he even believed. I don't know what group he was within. I felt like he was in some sort of secret covenant, and the secret covenant knew what was going on. And then the singers and celebrities started singing songs about me, but then occasionally they would sing songs that had nothing to do with me and just seemed to insult me. So that was always very confusing. It's like, how can they do things that kind of link to me on one day, and then they do other songs that are just completely opposite of me, and they just don't fit in with whatever I'm saying, or sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. So it's always been very confusing, and I've had to live with this for such a long time. And I don't trust people. I don't trust the government. And you know what he was saying about, you know, Islamic immigration. This is the problem. You know, it's not just Islamic people. I feel like there is something about their spirit that makes me just get bad vibes from them. You know, that woman in the sauna, the more I think about it, I don't know what she looked like. I think she might have been covering her hair. I can't remember. She might have worn a hair natter. I don't know. But the whole vibe, the vibe was not there. And you know, I know Saida, who's, I don't know what she was, but she doesn't have a bad vibe, even though she liked to cover up, and she liked to wear black a lot, and she wore the swimming costume that was covered from there, but she never had this bad vibe. So I'd never saw her as being Islamic, and I don't think she really was Islamic. She used to party, she used to drink a lot. I used to drink more, but we got on because of you know, our common interests, and I feel like there is a lot of people that I have a lot of things in common with, but yeah, the Islamic community is not something that I have any in common with, and the vibe. And you know, like when I go into the jacuzzi now, I'm always aware of how many people in this jacuzzi might be Islamic or have Islamic views. And yesterday I came across, I don't know, they were talking about something, I don't know what they were talking about, but yeah, none of them seemed Islamic, but it wasn't really hard, it wasn't easy to tell. And then one of the guys started talking about how he had 3 wives. I was like, okay, I don't even know if that's Islamic or not, but that is something that Islamic people do, so that I would consider that to be Islamic, even if he's not Islamic. Having 3 wives is part of the Islamic belief. And you know, if you have 3 wives that are living in the same location, if they're bi and perhaps like each other, then I can see how that would work. But the idea of having 3 wives in 3 different locations, I think Pakistan, Iran, and British, but he was saying that he's going to divorce the one, he's having a divorce with the one in Britain. But you know, it kind of brought to my attention, maybe this is how Islamic communities are getting into England. You know, it's not through the illegal system, it's through the legal system, which is marriage. You know, in England we take marriage seriously because you marry someone and it's supposed to be for life, and okay, it might not. You know, and I know there are jokes where people can get a British visa through marrying, and you know, if it's just people that have similar values to us, people who, you know, look like us, think like us, act like us, behave like us, then I don't think it's too much of a problem. But if Islamic people are going to be marrying people in our country and just getting a divorce solely to just get the visa, then they're doing it through a legal means. But is it right? Should they stay? You know, if you've married someone for 2 years and then you get a divorce, you know, what have you done during that time? You know, have you had kids? Because one would say that you would have kids if you like them, only if you wanted to raise up kids with them. But if you've just come into a country, got married to someone, maybe they're Islamic too, they've got married to someone who has a British visa, and you've had kids, now you've got kids, but you've got kids that you need to look after. Now, if you're also married to other people in different countries, you know, you've got responsibilities elsewhere. Your responsibility should be to your wife. And I think the legal system doesn't seem to realize that Islamic people are so different from non-Islamic people that they do see marriage as a type of joke. I see marriage as a kind of joke too, but I wouldn't start going to different countries and having multiple partners and having multiple kids with different partners, and then just leaving the kids with the partners while I go off and make more wives, because this is basically just rabbit breeding. This is type of rat kind of thinking. You know, just go somewhere, get a marriage, get the visa, get the kids, and then you run off, and then, well, the kids don't have the funding, and you start relying on the government's support for help. And you know, the government is aware that there are people that they get into relationships, the relationship falls apart, and they've got kids that they can't fund, and you know, and the government is very supportive towards single mothers with parents. But if it's Islamic, it is different, because a lot of these mistakes were made deliberately. Like, someone might deliberately marry someone knowing that they didn't actually have that much interest, or they weren't even that, maybe they were half their age. You know, he was saying how one of his wives is 26. I don't know how old he was. He might have been 42, he might have been 46, you know, and a 46-year-old marrying a 26-year-old, this isn't actually bad, but it is if his intention is to just, I don't know, get a visa for whatever area, what country that person was in, and then just move off to another area. Or, you know, if you have such a blasé view on marriage, then becoming a British citizen through marriage is a very easy thing, because you can just think, oh, I'll just marry this person. If I have a kid or not, so what? You know, the way he was talking, like, he's got one child in, one of his children is a lot older, and one of them was 6, but the 26-year-old wants more kids. You know, a 26-year-old probably does want more kids. Most women want 2 or 3 kids, and that should be seen as normal. But if you've got 3 wives and they all want 3, you know, they all want 2 or 3 kids because they're living in different areas. I think if they were living in the same country, you might be able to share kids. I would have no problem if I had a partner that was busy and there was another wife. And I'm slightly bi, so I don't actually see that as being a problem, because if you've got the other wife there, maybe you can form some sort of relationship with the other. You know, I'm open-minded to biness. And if you want kids, and the wife of your partner, the wife of your husband, who is also your wife too, because if you're in a 3-way marriage, I think two-way marriages are much better and more convenient, and I definitely support them. If you are going to have 2 or 3 wives, if your wives are slightly gay, then I actually see like it not being much of a problem, you know, and you could share each other's kids. You know, if you've got one kid and the other wife has another kid, then technically you could both say that you've both got 2 kids. You've just, you know, used the wife's kid as part of, and if he wants to go off and work in different countries, that might not be such an issue if you actually like the wife. But if you've got wives in different countries, you know, how does this work? You have to go to this country, you have to spend so much time in Pakistan, so much time in Iran, and so much time in Britain. And then it kind of makes you think, well, why have you done this? Why have you arranged families in different countries, different parts of the world? Is it greed? Is it just you want to have more pussy or something, or more sex with different people, or is it that you want more kids? I don't think he wants more kids. He didn't seem like someone who actually wanted kids. You know, is it done for the visa? If it's done for the visa, then it's legal immigration, but it shouldn't be legal immigration. And I think when you come to promote this idea, you know, you need to focus on the illegal migrants, because there are a lot of humans in England that support the legal system and they're happy with the legal system. They aren't aware that actually the legal system is falling apart, because the legal system doesn't seem to realize that Islamic people are happy to marry 10 wives. And, you know, do they care about their partners? Do they care about the number of kids that are being born? Can they look after? Can they feed? Can they, you know, part of being a developed world means that you have kids. You can recognize that kids are expensive. They take a lot of time. They take a lot of effort. They take a lot of, you know, dedication. And if you start having lots of kids with lots of different people, then this is an animal thinking. This is an animal mentality. I don't care. Let's just have sex, see what happens. If something happens, blame it on God. God gave me these kids, so I know that this is right. This is not how it is. I did not. You did that. You had sex with these people unprotected. You're the ones that birthed these kids, and now it's your responsibility to look after them. But if you can't, because you don't have enough money, then they are going to start relying on the state. And should the state take in all these people because they were, you know, human rights, refugees, we need to look after them, but you don't seem to realize that actually these people don't think the same way as a modern person. These people might go off and have, you know, 5 kids with that woman, and then have another couple of kids with this woman, and another couple of kids with this woman. You know, a lot of people think differently to how the legal system portrays it. The legal system seems to make out that they're all the same, and it's not, and it's and yeah, so there's a lot of people that support the legal system, but they don't realize that actually there are a lot of people are abusing the legal system. And you know, I think if you marry someone and you're literally just marrying to get a visa, and then you divorce that person after a couple of years, you know, you shouldn't stay. If you're married to other people in different countries, you know, is the marriage system even recognized? Like, if someone gets married in England, do you even know if that person has been married to other people in Pakistan? You know, if it's a completely different government and legal system, you know, there might not be any records of this marriage in Pakistan or a marriage in Iran or something. You know, if the Islamic worlds and the sort of Christian worlds are you know, so divided that you can't even work out who's married to who or how many times they've been married, you know, suddenly the system does fall apart, and people that, you know, are married to other people shouldn't just be allowed to marry into this country so that they can get a visa. And I don't really know what Sharia law is. I know that there's a lot of laws that I've heard, and yes, killing infidels is part of Sharia law. So I see Sharia law as man's sick laws. Sometimes sick laws are good. If you need to get rid of people, even if they were born here, you know, if you're born into this country and you have Islamic views, I'm very supportive on the idea of moving you out. You know, you're going to be brought up with this belief that marriage is just a joke, and that you could just have you can have sex with all your wives, and if kids pop out, it's not your fault, it's nothing you've done, it's all done at God's will. These happened because God allowed it to happen. If God didn't want it to happen, God wouldn't have allowed it to happen. You know, there's some Islamic beliefs that are just completely false and inverted, and they don't realize that it's not about having loads of kids. It's about making sure your kids are smart, educated. And education doesn't just mean just accepting a belief and seeing it as the truth. It means actually studying different things, being critical, being able to criticize your religion is part of education, because you can express your views and your concerns. And if you can't do that, then you have no education. But they're so backwards, they don't agree with that. And you know, Islamic people do not belong in this country, and they do not belong in Western civilization, and they need to go back to their backwards countries. And but yeah, if you're building up a massive group of people, you know, a lot of people agree with the legal system, and they think if people are here legally, you know, that's that means they should stay, because you can't send people that are not here. But if you've come here as refugees and you've had 9 kids, and then you've gone off and said, oh, I don't want that relationship, I want to go and have more kids with a different woman, yeah, and then what? You've got a woman that's looking after 9 kids that's now going to have to rely on the state because of it. And it's like, should we really pay the price for this? If we've welcomed these people in to help them and they've just acted like an animal, acted like some sort of rabbit, can't we just send them all back, even if they do have a British passport? You know, I think there should be some laws that allow people to do this. You know, part of Western thinking is you can have loads of kids, but only if you know you can look after them, if you've got the money. If you're a millionaire or a billionaire and you know you've got enough money to have loads of kids, then great. But if you're someone that just wants to have loads of kids because you don't believe in condoms or something, and you just end up having loads of kids, half of them being disabled because you married your cousin or something like this, you know, why are we taking on the responsibility of looking after these people when they are not deserving of it? I've got to stop. 1 second, oh dear, it's saying it's pressed.